For years, the world watched Britney Spears like she was a mystery that needed solving, a headline that never quite made sense, a story that always felt unfinished. Every time people thought they understood her, something new would happen, something strange, something emotional, something that raised even more questions than answers. But what if the version of Britney the world has been judging all this time was never the full picture? Because behind the performances, the fame, and the carefully crafted image, there was something else unfolding quietly, something far more controlled, far more complicated, and far more disturbing than most people realized. At the center of it all was her father, Jamie Spears, the man who, for over a decade, held legal power over her life. Not just her career, not just her money, her life. He controlled what she did, where she went, who she saw, how she worked, and in many ways, how she lived. And while millions of fans cheered for her on stage, while she performed night after night under bright lights, there was a reality behind the scenes that felt completely different. Because imagine this, you are one of the most famous people in the world. You generate millions. You perform for thousands. You are seen as powerful, successful, unstoppable. And yet, you don't get to make your own decisions. That contradiction is where Britney's story becomes unsettling. Because for years, people believed the control was necessary. After all, they had seen the moments that seemed impossible to ignore. The shaved head, the emotional breakdowns, the chaotic interactions with paparazzi. It was easy to label it. She's lost it. But what if those moments weren't the cause of the control? What if they were the result of it? Because when you start looking at the timeline more closely, something doesn't quite add up. A young woman pushed into global fame before she could fully understand it. A life constantly watched, constantly criticized, constantly invaded. And then suddenly, the one person who is supposed to protect her becomes the one legally controlling everything. From that point on, Britney's life wasn't just guided. It was structured, regulated, monitored. Every move mattered. Every action was evaluated. Every decision had consequences. And yet, she kept going. She performed. She released music. She built an empire. She became even bigger. Which raises a question that still hasn't been answered properly. How can someone be considered capable enough to run a global career, but not capable enough to control their own life? That question started as a whisper, but over time, it became impossible to ignore. Because cracks began to show. Small at first. Moments where something fell off. Then bigger ones. Videos that didn't match the image people were used to. Posts that felt unfiltered. Behavior that seemed unpredictable. And then came the clips that truly divided people. Britney, alone in her home, spinning, dancing, holding knives, smiling in a way that some described as playful, and others described as unsettling. She spoke in different accents. She posted rapidly. She appeared free, but not quite grounded. And suddenly, the internet split into two sides. One side said, "She's finally free. Let her live." The other said, "Something is wrong." And the truth? No one really knew. Because what does freedom look like after years of control? Is it calm and stable? Or is it chaotic, emotional, unpredictable? Because when someone spends years being told who they are, what they can do, and how they should behave, removing that structure doesn't automatically create peace. Sometimes it creates confusion. And maybe that's what people were really seeing. Not madness, not instability, but the messy, uncomfortable process of someone trying to figure out who they are without control. But just as people were beginning to accept that version of Britney, something happened that brought everything crashing back into question. A headline that felt familiar, but heavier this time.
Black BMW sedan, in and out of lane, now speeding. Black sedan, erratic braking, swerving, and driving with no taillight.
Officers from the California Highway Patrol's Moore Park area arrested Britney Jean Spears, 44, of Westlake Village on suspicion of driving under the influence of a combination of alcohol and drugs.
Can you say what was her mental state? Was she crying?
I can't comment further on any.
In 2026, Britney Spears was arrested for allegedly driving under the influence. And just like that, the narrative shifted again. Because this wasn't just another celebrity mistake. This was Britney. And with her, nothing is ever just simple. Some people saw it as a bad decision. a moment of weakness, a human mistake. But others saw something deeper. Because when you place that moment next to everything else, the years of control, the emotional outbursts, the strange videos, the constant pressure, it starts to feel less like an isolated incident and more like part of a pattern, a continuation of something that never fully ended. And then comes the question that makes everything even more complicated. What about her father? Because even though the conservatorship ended, the impact of that level of control doesn't just disappear. It doesn't fade quietly into the background. It stays. In the way someone thinks, in the way they react, in the way they handle freedom. And according to reports, attempts at reconnecting with her father have created tension behind the scenes. Stress, emotional pressure, which leads to a possibility that many people are afraid to fully confront. What if the control never truly ended? Not legally, but psychologically. Because when someone has lived under authority for that long, it changes something deeper. It reshapes identity. It alters confidence. It creates dependency and, at the same time, resistance. And that internal conflict doesn't just disappear. It shows up in behavior, in decisions, in moments like this, which is why the arrest feels different. Not because of what happened, but because of what it might represent. Because suddenly, people aren't just asking what Britney did. They're asking why. Why does it feel like she's still struggling? Why do her actions feel unpredictable? Why does it seem like she's still caught in something even after gaining her freedom? And maybe the most uncomfortable question of all, was she ever truly free to begin with? Because freedom isn't just about removing control. It's about knowing how to exist without it. It's about rebuilding yourself from the ground up after years of being shaped by someone else. And that process? It's not clean. It's not quiet. It doesn't look perfect. Sometimes it looks exactly like what the world calls crazy. But maybe that word has been wrong all along. Maybe what people are seeing isn't chaos. It's the aftermath. The aftershock of a life that was controlled, managed, and observed for far too long. And if that's true, then Britney Spears isn't just a pop star with a complicated past. She's someone still living through the consequences of it. Which means every video, every headline, every moment we see isn't just entertainment. It's part of something ongoing, something unresolved, something we still don't fully understand. And that's what makes this story impossible to ignore. Because deep down, everyone watching is trying to answer the same question. Is Britney Spears finally in control of her own life? Or is she still trying to escape something that never really let her go? And if this is what freedom looks like for her, then what really happened behind the scenes all those years?